And today I'm joined by one of the most entertaining cash game Twitch streamers out there. And to be honest with you, I don't know how I feel in terms of how out of line we're going to be getting in the booth. But he's proud owner of one of the greatest 2+2 threads in the world, known as Gazzyb123 on Twitch. It's none other than Gary Blackwood. How you doing, man?
I'm so glad I don't have a webcam on me right now because I am blushing through my face. That's such a nice intro. Thank you very much.
It wouldn't surprise me to see Freak being more aggressive pre-flop, just really ramping up the variance and just hoping that RNG is on his side. So seeing a few 4-bets, maybe some loose 5-bets pre, because he does need a big session today. He really does. And it's going to be exciting for sure. What was this 3-bet pot continue for half pot call? I expect Phil to
check a lot.
Check a lot. So let's go for a smaller sizing.
Cheeky block bet.
Yeah, and interestingly, not setting up a natural SPR going to a river to get all the money in. And when he's gone for this sizing, more often than not, he's kind of been put in the bin by Freak. I think we can still go for this sizing with like kings and aces as well at decent frequency.
Seems reasonable to me. Quite an interesting river, some stuff getting there. Curious to see what happens. It's very tense. It's much more tense when you're in the booth. Like if I'm watching this as like a viewer, I'm a little bit tense. But right now I'm just like, please win, Phil, please.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see Phil check over to Freak at this run out. Oh wow, okay. All right, let's go. Phil Galfond.
Interesting. So he had he rivered straight and he had the queen blocker as well?
Yeah, he turned trip queens with the nut shot. Freak with the kings deciding to not turn his decent showdown value hand into a bluff, obviously heavily blocking king jack there.
Fair dues.
Phil continuing in, I mean, this trend of Phil's just betting 6th pot on these paired boards. Need to start implementing it into my game.
Yes, me too.
I don't think I've ever looked at a board and gone, I know what sizing I'm going to choose. 1/6.
To start 1/6ing everyone at every opportunity of your life.
Just like with entire range, you just feel like an absolute champion when it gets through.
My pal Scotty Alford, I was talking about earlier, said he used to cut just flat range in every situation. We could just start 1/6ing range at any opportunity in life.
I got a big pot brewing on table bagpipes. Phil led for pot on the 5 of diamonds turn. 21 G's in the middle, 14K in the middle on table haggis as well.
It's all happening.
See if we can get a couple of big pots go our way early on.
It is all happening.
Phil with a polarizing sizing. Normally a good sign.
Yeah, when we see Freak not snap put the other 2K in, it's not a bad sign.
I mean, we just throw upright when Freak clicks it for the additional 2K.
The worst. Just the worst.
Deep into the tank. Phil with the check call on table haggis as well. So a couple of big ones to start things off.
It's absolutely popping. This is phenomenal.
I wonder how wide we call here when spades and diamonds brick and Phil shoes.
Oh my days.
Freak trying to tell a very convincing story.
Phil getting paid with a nut boat. You love to see it.
LFG PG 65K pot going Phil's way. It's safe to assume Freak on the bad end of a cooler with some sort of boat or an 8 blocker with a nut flush, for example.
Something like that, yeah. Phil is deep in the tank. Is it just going to be a case of a buy and a piece? Phil likes to fold. Chunky one going the way of Freak, but still a pretty solid start to the day for Mr. Galfond. As I was going to ask you, what do you think we'll see? Do you think we'll see Freak continue to run it twice, or do you think he'll abandon that?
Well, actually, Well, I said that because it's Chat Pro Saturday, by the way, chat. But the run it twice option is going to be used until the end of the match. So what was said, both players were informed before the challenge even started that on these VIP cash game rooms on Party, there's going to be a new feature introduced. Just when exactly it would be introduced, and it was introduced yesterday.
Okay.
So they both agreed to it, before it was introduced. Freak obviously sucks for him. 11k hands in that the variance is now going to be reduced, and that's obviously favouring Phil. But listen, it was a gentleman's agreement. Had it been the other way around, Phil would have been happy to continue playing it out. It is what it is at the end of the day.
Actually, we'll talk about this hand that's developing first, and then we'll come back to it.
Yeah, good shout. 3-bet pot, check, half pot pile from Freak, looking to get all the biscuits in the middle. Phil deep in the tank. I mean, going to have to go with quite a few hands on this ball texture. There it is.
Oh, baby.
I mean, does Freak ever have any some pile folds? No.
First one, Freak.
2-0 Freak.
Damn.
Phil with the wrap and king high hearts. Freak with the pair blocker, over pair, and that flush draw, runs it twice, scoops both boards.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
And I think long term for you personally, there's more EV in just calling.
Okay.
However, if you're looking at it from the ethics of poker and the fact that you've got the nuts, you had a gentleman's agreement which he then went against.
Yeah.
I don't know if that that gentleman's agreement is then invalidated by him betting out, and you just have to then just play the hand as you would in a normal spot. So that's a tough one, man.
It was pretty tough, wasn't it? I really didn't know what to do. When he bet out, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, you've got to pay for my tip to the dealer.
How deep?
And he's got like some. Sorry.
How deep are you in that spot?
Oh, I can't remember. I would imagine probably something like 2,500 or something like that. But I know for a fact if I make it like 600, he's just not going to fold. Like he's clearly got like some river top pair, and he's just not going to fold. Like never, ever, ever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I just make it 1K and just be like, sorry, misclick.
Well, that's a good shout as well. I let him off the hook. I wasn't annoyed at him, but I was a little like it was kind of dicey to say like check it down and then bet the river. So I said, you're lucky I'm a nice guy, and I called, and he like triumphantly tables king 3 offsuit or something like that, and I'm like, yes, I have the stone nuts, and he's like, oh, okay, that's that.
I'll tell you who else is trying to rep the stone nuts. Phil Galfond, this ace of clubs river. Well, not quite the stone nuts, but
baby,
a turn set gonna be good. Yeah,
exactly.
No, fair play, mate. I appreciate what you're doing for the game as well, especially in terms of streaming cash, because I don't think there are that many people out there that are streaming those types of games at that level as well, and I love it personally. I think it's
very kind, and I completely agree. There are a lot of tournament grinders out there on Twitch, so I do what I can to support the other cash streamers. For example, at the end of my session, I'll look for a cash game streamer to raid. Because we've all got to support each other. There's a monopoly of MTT streamers out there, and we gotta support the fellow cash game grinders.
Yeah, I want to see that. Them 600 big blind pots. I don't care about 15 bigs with eights against ace queen. Don't mean to throw shade on anyone, but
one thing that really, really grinds my gears, and I talk about it on Twitch all the time, is that what we're watching today between Galfond and Actionfreak is high stakes poker, and you see tournament guys being like, high stakes tournaments, and it's like the big 109, and it's like not fucking high stakes poker. That is the big 109. Actionfreak versus Phil Galfond playing 100k pots on a daily basis. That is high stakes poker. It really frustrates me when you see that, because it's just clickbait and nothing more. And people don't know any better. They're like, oh my god, 4k for first, such sick high stakes. Really annoys me.
Oh man, shots fired.
Sometimes shots need to be fired. I'm sorry. Got a big pot developing. My apologies on table bagpipes.
We do indeed. I think Freak drilling this river, Phil check raising flop, continuing for pot on turn, and wouldn't be surprised to see him slow down on this river. He does play his check. Now, question is, does Freak have a hand like 7, 9, 10 jack with a high diamond, like a jack of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, that he kind of has a mandatory bluff?
Jam.
Yeah, or does he just have too much showdown value at river? Deep in the tank.
Deep in the tank. He goes for it.
Almost all the biscuits. If Phil calls 75k pot.
It's not going to happen now, obviously, but I would have loved to have just seen Phil just put in the extra 300 buckets, because then you just know that he's got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough for Phil to have it, as in king high diamonds in this spot, but we are going to have some pretty easy-ish side calls, that, especially after we check raise flop.
Especially after, as you say, Mr. Freak has got many mandatory bluffs that he has to go for on this river.
Yeah, Phil deep in the tank. I mean,
this is just unbelievably tense. It's thoroughly enjoyable, but it's so tense at the same time.
So vom if we just have like 8s with no diamond. Or then even the naked 7-5, but I think the 7-5 has to kind of has to call with any diamond.
Be surprised if he was going to fold 7-5 here. I think we're going to see a hand like a set. Although a set and a straight are essentially the same thing. So
using up almost all his time bank.
Oh, it's so tense.
10
high diamonds. Good for Freak.
Phil paying him off. Freak with the double gutter on the flop, turned diamonds, gets there on the river. Farah said, okay, that's enough red. Here we go.
Yes, I agree, Mrs. G. Let's go, Mr. Galfond.
Be so funny if Farah just goes and knocks on the door and it's like, Phil, pull your shit together. All right, I've had enough of this.
Come on.
Stop losing pots.
Farah, if you do that, can you film it, please? And tag me and Henry in it? I'd be really grateful for that.
I think the funniest thing that's happened in the Galfond household whilst I've been doing commentary is Phil has the Starbucks ordering app on his phone, and I really wanted Starbucks. Phil's down like 100k on the day, right?
Oh, no!
So I don't know whether I should go in and ask her for it. She sneaks in, grabs the phone, and Phil just turns around and goes, "Oh, how are you okay, hon, or how's it going, honey, or something?" Whilst he's down 100k, just completely unfazed by it, man. That's the level I want to get to.
I know that's what you want in a husband. He's down 100 bags and he's just like, "Oh, you all right? Is everything okay?" Just completely oblivious to it.
Just like, "Oh yeah. Just get the Starbucks. Get the Starbucks in."
That is fantastic. I know there's a little one in the house, but is it possible to have Farah in the booth sometime? Or never mind.
Spice and everything nice.
Chop it up.
Yeah, Freak with the free roll.
Free roll.
But they do chop it.
Good question. Is it possible to be angled in online poker, Henry? I wouldn't have thought so.
I mean, I've had people try, try and induce action in the chat box. I actually had a guy yesterday, a session I was playing where I had the nut flush blocker, and we get to the river. I check raise turn with a nut flush blocker because the flush completed on the turn. Okay. And he just types into the chat, "Oh, you're always bluffing," and calls my turn bet.
Right.
And then we're like chatting for like a good 30 seconds before I make any play on the river. Mm-hmm. And I jam, leaving him with 1 cent behind, and he just clicks it for the extra 1 cent. And obviously, I'm like, fuck, I got ace high kind of thing. Right. Cool, and he's just got a straight flush. I'm like, all right, well played. well played, mate. Like, you got me. You induced the bluff.
He's done you like a kipper there.
Yeah, you got me a good time there.
Should have just saved yourself 1 cent, mate.
I appreciated the speech play in the chat box. I was like,
well, so it's a lost art in my opinion.
Phil with the check raise of his own on this phase turn. Again, a board where we are going to see stacks fly in the middle quite often.
Many draws, many rivers where the board changes entirely. Curious to see what Mr. Freak elects to do as he goes deep into the tank. So single raise pot, c-bet from Freak, and then he pots a turn and Galfond raises. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Phil just drilling this river if he's got what he's saying he's got on the turn.
Seems
One
like
would assume, unless, I mean, we'd hate to see the old like, ace, queen, 10-5 with nut spades on the turn on this run out. No fold equity on the river.
I think we're going to see it go in.
He does concur. 52k in the middle.
I'd imagine a spade river is going to be better for Freak as opposed to a club river. Although it's going to be pretty close either way. But we see Mr. Galfond take it down to stem the flow. It's been a bit of a bleed for him so far in the last hour or so. So really pleased to see Mr. Galfond take one of his own. We want this to go down to the last session, don't we? From an entertainment point of view, absolutely yes. It was thoroughly enjoyable when the Venny match went down to the last 10 hands or whatever it was. But honestly, I'd like to see Phil just coast to the win. Coast to the W.
Who do you say? Getting called a donkey by Phil Hellmuth is the dream in day one. I can imagine, man. Just like having that story. This Eastern European or Northern European kid, whatever.
I mean, it's vintage Hellmuth when he does stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah, love.
But at the same time, it's unbelievably out of line. And if it was any other random American dude said Northern Europeans wouldn't sit there with a big grin on their face. They'd be like, "You be quiet right now." Coming to blows over table 612 in the Amazon room or whatever it was. Thank you very much, guys, for the compliments. We appreciate it. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. It's been a lot of fun so far today.
Not sure if this is a good river for Phil or not. So he went
Ideally.
third pot, 3-bet pot. He is going to have some sets with a decent club that continue for pot on the turn. We're not capping our range at flushes only. So, see, I mean,
would you agree that this favors Actionfreak, even though Phil does have some boats?
I mean, he does have some boats for sure. And I mean, when he bets pot on the river, I'm just like grinning like an absolute moron right now because it looks like he was continuing on turn with some sort of set plus decent club blocker.
So enjoyable to see Action not snap him off.
Yeah, I mean, if Freak was just trapping with the hand like King High clubs or Queen High clubs in a really size spot when the board pairs.
What do we think Freak's going to do, guys? Type 1 in the chat if you think he's going to call, 2 if he's going to fold. Get your answers in quick as you can. 1 if he's going to call, 2 if he's going to fold. After Phil bets the turn and pots the river. Looks like people think he's going to fold. A couple of us think he's going to call. Keep your answers coming.
He's thinking about it.
So I think he's going to call as well. I think we're going to see a call here. I think we're going to see Galfond scoop in. Oh. The 2s were correct.
Bamalam saying no such thing as momentum in poker. Thank you very much, Bamalam. Preach the truth, brother. Talking about that with Ron Chucks a couple of weeks ago. We don't believe in any of that nonsense about momentum. Although Richard Gaylor had a very solid counter argument to that about psychological momentum and mindset momentum, and I do believe in mindset momentum. I do believe in mindset momentum, but I don't believe in, oh, we've won 3 pots in a row, we're on a roll, let's VPIP 97% of hands because we just can't lose. So it really, really depends. Bono saying in terms of buy-ins, wow, what a tough question. It's probably 85-ish. I mean, I got back from America, 5 weeks ago, and first 2 weeks I dropped 15k. after being back, playing 100 and 200 PLO. Was a bit rusty. Had left my fold button in America, but don't worry, chat. We've been on a bit of a tear recently, and we've also been running good in the 500 PLO streets as well. Kind of make it all back. Big pot poker being played over on table bagpipes. 24 Gs in the middle. 3-bet pot. Ace, ace, jack. Ace, jack still the nuts. Phil betting pot on the turn.
Yo,
Yo, just in time.
what a time to come back.
Yeah, Phil bet pot on the turn. SPR of 1.2 going to the river. I'm gonna show it down.
Trip aces, electing not to bet with a king kicker. You think that's a reasonable check back, or do you think he should be putting some money in there?
I think when we get called on the turn, and we're blocking kings as well, after betting pot, I think it's a very reasonable check back. One of the things I was most excited about doing commentary with you today is obviously you stream, so you're used to just talking, a decent, let's say 70% nonsense for 5 hours straight, and then you've got like your 30% of breaking down hands. It's just like the dream team.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So we are the dream team. Never forget. Yeah, you're absolutely right. In order to be a successful streamer in this day and age, you can't just have like a minute of silence. You just can't do that. You've got to be keeping the energy high, keeping people entertained. I find that the most important aspect of streaming is to interact with the chat. I try and make sure, even today, no chat message doesn't get read. No chat message goes unread is what I'm trying to
Studied a bit, played some tennis, got a couple of workouts in, but yeah, pretty much here.
Very nice. We're all living our best lives during lockdown. It's absolutely fantastic.
Bouncy J saying, why is Richard so upset about it? Well, upset about people calling me Richard. Listen, if my analysis can get to 50% of what Richard's analysis is, and then you guys confuse me for him, I've done well.
You've done very well.
I've done well. That guy is a beast. I posted a graph on Instagram today. My last 15k hands since doing commentary for the first time with Richard. You guys can check that out because the guy has taught me so much already.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear. I absolutely love to hear stuff like that. I've met Richard very briefly in LA, and he's a really, really nice guy, which we all know because obviously he does such a great job in the Galfond challenge. But he's one of the good guys in poker. He flies under the radar a little bit, but he's definitely one of the good guys in poker.
He does indeed. Not sure if Phil is going to like this river card over on table bagpipes.
Oh yeah.
Queen 10 getting there. Assume that Phil is going to play as check on this river. Though he is obviously going to have some Queen 10s in his range as well.
Curious to see what he likes to do. He is deep in the tank. He does like to check.
Yeah, not surprised to see him play his check. The question is whether Freak is going to pull the trigger as a bluff with missed hearts, for example. Phil,
call here. I think we're going to say a bet and a call.
Yeah, I mean, Phil going to have to call a bunch of his hands that he's, bet big flop, bet big turn with any two pair that contain like a 10 or a queen blocker.
Yeah. So we've seen the bet. We haven't seen a snap. So Mr. Galfond is in the tank. Let's see what he likes to do.
Let's find that inner hero call and be right one time.
Let's go, Galfond. Let's go. 14 seconds left on his time bank. It feels like it's gonna be one of those that goes right to the wire.
He's had so many of these spots today. Fold.
As we see a C-bet from Actionfreak on table Haggis in the 3-bet pot. Call from Mr. Galfond. Fairly wet turn, bringing in some straight and flush draws. Sorry, making some straight and flush draws possible, not bringing them in.
Sorry, mate. I knew what you mean. All right, so it's okay, Henry. We don't expect much from you. Thanks, man. I wouldn't expect anything else from you as well. With the needles.
Yeah. Chat, if you're going to dish out, you got to be able to take it. As we see a pot size turn bet. What's Phil going to do? Pot size bet looks pretty standard to a novice like me on this turn. He does obviously have a pretty strong range on this board, and he's electing to commit some of Phil's draws and weaker holdings.
Yeah, and he obviously gets to do this as well with a decent amount of hands that pick up equity on the turn. Don't mind double barreling.
I suspect we're going to see a Galfond jam here.
It is a spicy turn card, that's for sure.
He likes to just call.
Yeah, it's a side river for Phil, unless he's just giving Freak rope, but I find that highly unlikely.
I think his ace-10s are going to bomb it on the turn.
Yeah, for sure, with the 8 of spades rolling off, unless we just have like nut spades. But again, that's obviously me living in dreamland.
Right there with you, brother.
32 in the middle, SPR of what, just over 0.5. Freak should be jamming at a very high frequency here.
I think we'll see a jam and a pretty quick fold from PG. It didn't snap muck.
Yeah, he hasn't snap folded, which I don't know if...
I have the fear.
Oh, man. We ever just like calling off with ace queen here?
It's a nasty spot either way. I have the fear for Phil here. But I'm sure he knows what he's doing. One time just call and make me and Henry look like a couple of fools.
Deep in the tank, man. He's honestly, today is... I haven't seen this in a long time where Phil has had to use a lot of his time bank in these river spots.
Can he find a call? Does call, and we see... Ooh.
Yeah, we had him. We had him until the river.
That was a very, very light call from Mr. Galfond. His 2 pairs being counterfeit. What do you think of Actionfreak's River Jam? Think it's a little thin, or do you think it's well played?
I think it's a little thin, given that we have King Queen as well, in the sense that we're blocking some of the misdraws that we want Phil to just have.
Yeah.
We also had spades as well. I think, as played, I like Phil's call as well, to be honest with you. Unblocking spades and unblocking Broadway wraps.
Mm-hmm.
I think well played from both.
And a 3-bet.
Wow, is this a single raise pot?
This is a single raise pot, and it is a single raise pop-off pot. It is popping. Is Phil going to find a 4-bet?
You don't often get fireworks like this in a single raise pot, especially on this board.
You think Phil's just like sigh getting it in with bottom set here?
You just don't like you hate your life, don't you?
Exactly, yeah. Even a PLO fish like me is just like sigh, get it in. Pray for ace, king, nut, spades. And even then, you're not doing that well. As Phil elects to call, that would suggest to me that he's pretty draw heavy. Would you agree with that, Henry?
Yeah, I agree. That is a pretty solid assumption. 21 G's in the middle, Phil, 23.5 behind. It's tough to see Phil winning this pot here.
I agree.
I guess we have some
ace kings.
Yeah, I was about to say some some trashy ace king combos
Yeah, I
with
think
no backup.
With ace king by now.
You think he just gets it in with the ace king?
I would assume so. However, I'm a complete fish when it comes to this game, so that could be terrible. But as we've mentioned a few times today, Phil just seems to be getting put in a spot every 10 minutes. It must be a really unenjoyable session for Mr. Galfond so far today. As we see a 4-bet on table haggis.
I do have a 4-bet and a board that I'm not feeling too thrilled about.
Bow, bow, bow.
Another bang-on 4-bet horn, mate.
Thanks very much.
We
Is
don't
it
even need to.
accurate, or are you just being nice?
No, I swear to God, it's. I couldn't even come close to that. So fair play, fair play.
You guys are so welcome. Okay, half pot from Actionfreak, and it's not the one for Phil Galfond. I don't expect him to be continuing there all that often, and he elects to just muck it.
Yeah, I just sent that hand to you in the Discord for you to check out later on, but it's definitely one of my favorite Helmuth hands.
Can't wait.
Would I be tricky enough to play Queen 10 like this? And his opponent, I mean, God knows what's going through his opponent's mind.
What
He's like, oh really? Are we gonna have to chop this hand? Like, actually believes Phil.
That is superb. Let me just grab a phone charger real quick.
No worries, man. Jumping back into the action on table bagpipes, 3-bet pot. Phil continuing for his classic 6th pot sizing on a paired board.
That's
Pre-calling. And check half pot action on Phil. Calls. Hey, Thalos, and yikes, not a good start to the day, huh? How you doing, man? Phil always going to play as check. Question is he giving Freak rope?
I mean, I hope so. He's been running pretty badly today. It would be nice to see him dragging a pot. Not vote for Mr. Freak, as it gets even more ugly for Mr. Galfond. It has been a tough day in the Galfond household.
Let's just see how these two hands play out, because we do have a pot size bet from Phil. Just pennies, mate.
Just pennies compared to
wow, that is disgusting.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Oh, Phil, I just want to give him a big hug.
I mean, look at that sizing. How is that not quads? Come on, man. If I ever get clicked like that, I just sat there with aces or queens.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm like, all right, mate, you win, but here's the extra 7K.
You just have to see it, don't you? Oh, this is brutal. I really feel for Phil. He's had a really tough day today.
It really has been a tough day. I've seen Phil use his entire time bank more today than I have the entire match against Freak so far.
I mean, he just can't win a hand. His red line is tanking today.
On table bagpipes, 3-bet pot, check, call, half pot. Half pot, call, check, turn, and now pot on the river from Phil. How many minutes worth of tanking has he done today?
Oh my days. Oh my days. Table bagpipes.
Just not our day.
It's just relentless. He's been absolutely brutalized.
Phil down somewhere around 240k on the day, or thereabouts. I would just vomit with Ace King here.
Yeah. Three bet free, right?
Yep. 3-bet pre, half pot, flop, call, check, turn, check, pot, repot, river.
So brutal.
And again, Phil using his entire time bank. This river spot.
It's just never a bluff, is it?
It's not.
Just
The question is it ever a chop with like Ace King?
I don't think we're gonna see a call. Poor Phil. I've got a lot of sympathy for him. I know he's a big boy and he can afford it, but he's just been brutalized today. It's been really, really tough to watch. Pretty disappointed. My first day in the booth has been overshadowed by a really, really tough day for Mr. Galfond. As we see a 3-bet on table bagpipes and a c-bet.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to recall the big pots that we've seen go to showdown. There really hasn't been many.
No, we had Phil win a stack very early on today, but I think that's the only stack he's won.
Yeah, the only other one that I can recall was the Ace King jam of Freak, where the board paired on the river and Phil called off with the counterfeited 2-pair, effectively Ace 7.
The Ace 7, yeah, I remember it. As we go to the turn, flush getting there on table bagpipes. Freak electing to check. He has opened the door for Galfond. Will he walk through it?
3-bet pot, 1/3, check, action on Phil now.
Action on Phil, that's right.
Okay, I'm feeling good about this hand.
Quietly confident.
Yeah, watch me eat my words when Freak check raises this turn.
Yeah. As you see Phil elect to probe for half pot. Freak check calling. It's going to be interesting to see what Phil elects to do on the river. I would imagine we see him bet a very high frequency here for at least 75%. I don't think we see any small bets here on this river.
Yeah, I agree. Has occasionally blocked with the nuts, but more often than not goes with the polarizing sizing. There it is.
There it is.
Pot size bet from Phil. Can we get at least one decent sized pot go towards the end of this session? Freak in the tank.
He's assessing his options. This is tense. Come on, Philly boy. Rake one in for the boys, please.
I don't know what I want more, just Freak to fold and Phil to win a pot, or Freak to call and Phil to win a showdown. Honestly, it's been one of those days where I'll take anything at the moment.
It's tough to think about Phil's bluffs here, given that he's called a 3-bet and a c-bet, and then he's bet half pot on the turn, and then pot at the river.
Freak. I think this is the first time today. There we go.
There we go, boys and girls. Phil Galfond, nut flush, raking it in. Finally.
48k pot go feels very interestingly Phil with the king of spades in his hand as well.
Yes. Curious to hear what Actionfreak has called it off with. But genuinely, a little bit of relief from Gazzyb there, because it's just been relentless all day today. It's really good to see Phil finally scooping a pot.
Yeah, we've had issues with with the internet connection in Malta over the last few weeks. Everyone online at the moment. Phil gonna win a small one at Showdown. Freak with the open ender when the board paired on the turn decided to just shut down.
With Phil with the very pretty Queen Jack, as we see a pot-sized bet from Mr. Galfond on table bagpipes.
So 3-bet pot, check half pot call, check pot action on Freak. Really interesting river card.
I think we see check pot a lot of the time. Phil's unlikely to have been counterfeited here. And if he's telling a story on the turn, I see no reason why he's going to slow down here on the river, unless he is going to just give up with some missed spades or hearts. But I think we're going to see a bet here quite a lot of the time.
32k in the middle, potential for a 97k pot if Phil pots and gets called. As it does pot. You got a good feeling. All right. Okay.
Get your LFG PGs in the chat, guys. Let's get that feel-good feeling on the go.
One time.
Come on, Phil. Come on, Freak. Pay us off.
Let's just have nines one time. Come on. Freak's turn to use his time bank. Spades bricking, 6, 7, 8 bricking, hearts bricking. In the tank.
Brick. And as well as that, it's one of the flop cards pairing, which makes it ever so slightly less likely that Mr. Galfond is flopping the set. If it's the 3 that pairs, it does change things ever so slightly. Galfond is elected to pot it. This is so exciting. What are we going to see Mr. Freak elect to do?
Man, we haven't seen Freak tank like this in a long time. Clearly
know,
had
right?
a tough decision. Obviously sucks if we have spades in our hand with a big pair. Gets through. Phil Galfond winning a decent sized pot for the first time in a long time. So that would mean that Phil got up at 8 a.m. to play 150, 300 PLO.
An absolute raging degenerate getting out of bed at that time in the morning. I bet he just like rolls out of bed and straight onto the computer, still half asleep as he's like, oh, okay, let's go.
That's disgusting. That's the first time that I realized how early Phil gets up to play these stakes.
Farah in the chat saying they got up at 5:30 a.m. Is that the little one getting you guys up, or is that you guys agree to get up at that time? Either way, fair play for getting out of your bed at that time of day.
I'm normally just like closing down the tables at that time, firing up a movie to wind down to.
Yeah, I'm on my last game of FIFA at that time of day.
I did not 3-bet. Sorry, 3-bet pot, check half pot, call.
Okay. Oh, okay. So check half pot call. I would imagine we see Phil continue a lot on this turn. Here we go, guys. Phil applying maximum pressure.
Man. 70k effective. Going to the turn, 21k in the middle.
This is going to be spicy if we see a continuation of any kind from Mr. Freak, and we do. And what are we thinking about that river?
I'd like to think that the fact that Phil has been on the receiving end all day, that he is due.
Yes.
One going his way. Freak does check.
About to see a 97k pot if we get a max bet and a call. Phil in the tank. I got a bad feeling about this one, Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I think this river card could go both ways for both players. But Phil betting pot.
Phil betting pot, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go, Galfond. This is unbelievably tense.
It's really tough for Freak to ever show up with nines here. So
yeah, he has some 7x.
Yeah, and there are some like 5-7 and 9-7 combos that you can have as well.
This is unbelievably tense. As he goes deep into the timeline, this is going to be 58 seconds of pure torture, I feel.
Who, for us or for Phil?
For everybody involved. Right on the
Man.
end of my seat. Huge pot.
I might smash my screen if Freak piles.
Oh, if he piles, it's so brutal. But I just never expect to see a pile. Maybe like ace, 9, 7 or something. He folds. Galfond takes it down. I would love to know what he had there.
We'll take it.
For the day in the negative, but really, really happy to see him win that one. And the tides are somewhat turning in terms of Phil's red line. He had a tough day today, having to exercise a lot of discipline and make a lot of disciplined folds. But nice to see him winning a few chunky pots without any showdown. Panda Pope says another spot on read for Gazzy. A broken clock is right a couple of times a day, bud. Don't be fooled. I'm not some PLO lord.
Confirmed.
Okay, fine. Any VD.
Gazzyb is going to be jumping into the 6 max PLO streets next stream. I guarantee it.
Gazzyb is going to be busted in about 4 days' time.
So, hey, this game looks easy. Freak won 200k in a day. I mean, let's just jump into the 500 PLO streets.
Done that before.
You have done that before?
Yes, I have a small sample at 500.
That's brilliant.
It was a lot of fun. That's all I'll say.
Oh, wow, Freak sitting out. So
like we could be GG.
Looks like GG. Freak and Phil, and more importantly, at least for me, Gazzyb, man, what a pleasure it's been to just
thoroughly enjoyable, hasn't it? I feel like I made a friend for life today. It's been a lot of fun.
It's the vibes, the morale, considering took a bit of a beating today. You've done extremely well, man, to keep the chat's morale high, and certainly you've kept my morale high, because there have been streams in the past where Phil has had a rough session, and it's kind of, you know, we want to remain impartial in the commentary booth, but when the hero is Phil Galfond,
yes,
it can rub off on us, and it's been a pleasure, man. It really has.
It's been thoroughly enjoyable. Thank you very much for having me. And a massive shout out to the chat. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you guys. We're just getting confirmation from Run At Once Nick. The final tally today is approximately minus 180k. So not the best, but in the grand scheme of things, not the worst. We managed to pull back a couple of buy-ins at the end. Yeah, really enjoyed today, guys. Thank you so much for having me, and really hopeful I can come back and be in the booth one day.
Yeah, man, at any time, honestly. I look forward to it. Yeah, as Gazzyb just mentioned, final word from Phil and Nick. Phil losing back what he won yesterday, 180k total, but we are going to be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central European time. Don't go anywhere, because it looks like we are going to have a nail finale once again. Well, Gazzyb, man, honestly, again, been a pleasure. Chat, it's been a pleasure, and see you guys next time.
Thank you very much, guys. Take it easy. Have a great evening.
Peace.